Today's topic is Kiki's delivery service, Miyazaki's animation work back in 1989. This is the title shot, 1989. So it was made more than 30 years ago, in the midst of the bubble economy. And it's always in the people's top 3 choice of their all-time favorite Ghibli anime. Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away, they enjoy more critical acclaims. But when it comes to people's choice, it has the simplicity back in the days, and it's about 100 minutes, maybe 103. These aspects make the film popular to many people. The film is based on a children's literature of the same, by Eiko Kadono. I brought the paperback version. Here it is, a children's literature. It was published in, well, the story was first serialized on some magazine. And the story was published as a book in 1985. So Ghibli adapted the story relatively soon after it was published. Okay, this film has so much to talk about, so I want to let you know before we begin that. It takes 2 lectures, today and next week. Today will be a beginner's version. So today I'll talk about things in a relatively easy form to understand. If you can, please enjoy while watching the broadcasted version that was on the air a few days ago. I know you recorded it. Okay, this is a fantasy taking place somewhere in Europe. A 13-year-old witch starting to go independent. However, it's not an ordinary fantasy. Miyazaki didn't make it like that. Thorough analysis on Kiki's delivery service, beginner's edition. So today I want to focus on what distinguishes the film from ordinary fantasies. 3 extraordinary elements of Kiki's delivery service. First of all, it's a modern story. You see many opinions on this issue in sources like Wikipedia, but it's a modern story. Second, why Gigi talks and stops talking. This also draws the line from normal fantasies. Finally, subtext depicted with images only. There is a lot of this. So we are baffled when we focus on the lines spoken by the characters. Okay, so let's start from the top. According to Hayao Miyazaki, the story takes place in Europe, which has not experienced the 2 Great Wars, a parallel universe which has seen neither the First and Second World Wars. That's why we see oddly balanced technical and scientific advancements. I mean, for example, in the film, you see people watching TV, black and white TV. It seems that many people own one. So some say that the story is in the 60s. However, you see cars from the 1920s on the street and 1940s aircraft in the sky. It's more like an airship. But what people are wearing on the street, it has the 80s essence. The reason for this is quite simple. Miyazaki took a trip to Europe in 1988, a year before the film was produced, and designed the costume and cultural aspect in the film based on what he saw during the trip. So, I told you that the story takes place in the modern time, that is, 1989, to be more specific, when the film was released. And I also mentioned about the absence of the 2 Great Wars. It's because the wars entailed incredible technical advancements. So it is believed that if there was no World War I, of course the tools used for the war would not have advanced so much, and airplanes would not have been put into practical use so much. Furthermore, it is often believed that if there was no Second World War, the development of large airplanes would have been delayed or may not have even happened. So this world has been met with slow technical advancement due to the absence of the 2 Great Wars. So the story is set in 1989, around the time when the film is released. I'll talk about this a little later, the reason why it's logical to think this way. The second one, why can Gigi the cat speak? A young witch can understand the cat, her familiar. This setting is written in the original book, and the book described the relationship as follows. A mother witch who gave birth to a girl gets a black cat born around the same time. So the black cat was born in the same year. The black cat is further described as a special one that only the girl can understand. However, when the girl falls in love, the cat leaves the girl to find a partner of its own. So, according to the background setting, Kiki's mom actually had a black cat of her own, which left her when she fell in love. This is quite a typical fantasy background setting, which was simply abandoned by Miyazaki. Miyazaki mentioned quite an unreasonable reason for this in the interview, saying, "I don't like cats that much. I don't like their faces, like they know it all." This was how Miyazaki dissed cats in a rather honest interview with Yoichi Shibuya for Rocking On magazine. Still, he does take good care of the cat in the Ghibli studio. So I guess the remark in the interview was a bit of a joke. The reasons why Kiki can only understand Gigi and later loses that ability are very different from the book. Miyazaki quite intricately made the change. Well, in guidebooks and analysis, some say Kiki grew up and ceased to understand Gigi. There are just so many opinions. You have to read the subtext from the images to understand this. There are some codes only Miyazaki uses. I'll cover this in the intermediate edition next week. The third one, this last one, I'll be mainly focusing on today. Too many subtexts depicted through imagery only. There are just so many of these. I'll give you some examples. For example, the night of Kiki's departure. Under the full moon, she leaves her hometown. Kiki, flying on her broomstick, meets a witch who started training earlier. So, this is her. Quite good looking. Koji Morimoto was in charge of her character design. She started the training a year earlier, so she is 1 year older. They're flying in tandem. This elder witch tells Kiki that she's good at fortune telling and asks Kiki, "Do you have any special skills?" Kiki is so impressed. This witch has a much greater magic skill than Kiki. For example, Kiki specifically needs to use reaction force to fly. She finds this witch and tries to approach her. She leans left to fly toward her. She has to swivel to change directions, like an airplane. As she leans, the altitude temporarily drops, and then Kiki soars to approach the witch. Thus, Kiki can only change directions through a rather exaggerated motion. This elder witch, on the other hand, when she says goodbye and flies away from Kiki, she simply points her feet to the ground. She's sitting on her broomstick and simply points her feet to the ground. Like this, she needs no preliminary motion or a big movement like Kiki. Her broomstick soars naturally, then comes down to the other side of Kiki as she says, "Good luck to you," and then flies down to her town. So she can fly really well. So this elder witch is a nice person, telling Kiki good luck to you, and then flying down to her town. Kiki looks up to this good-looking witch, and she says, "I have to have a special skill." This is what you can understand from the character's line, but the town where this senior witch is working, you see the image of it, and this is the subtext depicted by the image only.